Wait.
So you told me I need to wait. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so I
Because
wait.
every time I edit the audio, it's everyone to common censored.
So I start every show by going,
yes, I bet you didn't know that.
I was unaware, but the voices in my head say a lot of things sometimes, and I don't know what all of them are, so maybe I do. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Please take a second to share this and then thumbs up it and stick a thumb up where the sun don't shine, because we are starting a hell of a show. We got information on the new inflation reduction bill that is actually kiss your ass goodbye bill. So there's that.
Through the naming meeting.
Yeah, they're not good at naming these things. We got new information on. Basically, it's been admitted now that the U.S. is stage managing the war in Ukraine. I mean, a lot of these things we've been saying for months and months, but then you get the admission point, or you get the final moment where they go, "Oh yeah, that's totally happened. That's totally been a thing we're doing." So we're gonna be doing that, and yeah, we got a bunch of stories. So let's get into them. And thanks for being here. Please please share this. This is Eleanor Goldfield, by the way. I didn't say that.
You are.
Joined by Eleanor Goldfield.
Hello.
And let's start off with Extinction Rebellion had a good statement on what just went down, what's going down in Congress right now.
Yes, the Inflation Reduction Bill, which I know we've talked about this a lot on the show, how they name things, right? And
hold on, let me change that terrible background. But
I don't think.
Okay. Speaking of that, how do they name things? This fucking gripping headline from Extinction Rebellion statement on Inflation Reduction Bill.
Sorry, everyone. I might be hacking in your ears. It's not COVID. I just have a cold. But
I just read that. I just read that title and I was like, oh, I gotta hear this. Really gripping.
I think one of Lee's pet peeves, serious pet peeves, is the naming of articles, of specials, of videos, of podcasts. Really needles him if it has a boring fucking name. So just be aware, if you're ever sending him something that you want him to look at, make sure it's named well. Otherwise, he won't give a shit.
Although I also
before
we started this was making fun of I don't know how many of you are fans of Russell Brand's YouTube show, but all of his names of all of his episodes, they're not boring, but every single one is the vaguest shit you could ever put. It's every single episode is titled, "You won't believe this," or "No way," or "It's happening," or "You were right all along." There is nothing in the title. And I don't know if that's to get around the censorship, because honestly, you put anything important in a title and then
just lazy to
YouTube
me.
Is
he knows that a certain amount of people are going to watch his shit because he was married to Katy Perry, and so he's like, whatever.
I don't think it was him though.
I don't think he names his own.
No, I don't. I think he has a PR company.
That has nothing to do with the end of the world.
This, let's go. Go. Do it.
So the Inflation Reduction Bill, which Biden and his handlers unveiled the other day, is being heralded, of course, these things always are. Oh my God, this is so important for the American people. It's so important for our future. It's so important for the climate, which is true, but not at all in a good way. So basically, it is a gift to the fossil fuel industry, allowing them to extract and profit for as long as possible under the guise of climate change policy.
Can I read a paragraph here?
Please.
The Inflation Reduction Bill unveiled by Biden, Schumer, and Manchin. By the way, Manchin is a coal baron. He is a multi-millionaire based on coal. So if you think that he would ever endorse something that was good for the climate, you're a moron. So the bill unveiled is being heralded as a huge win for the climate movement. It is instead a gift to the fossil fuel industry, allowing them to extract and profit. Oh, did you read this?
I just read that one bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Let me jump in. Is that okay?
Yeah, you want to read this next paragraph?
No. Okay. I want to jump somewhere else.
Okay.
So people are blaming Manchin for this next part. And yes, he is an absolute penis wrinkle of a human being. However, you can't just blame Manchin for the crumbling of this, because our entire, like what we learn in school, right, kids, is that our entire system is supposed to ensure that one person cannot rule over the entire government, because that's like a monarchy or an empire, which we're definitely not, right? It's not. It's a totalitarian regime, and so blaming one person wouldn't really work, right? You would have some way to be able to shut this person down and say you can't stand in the way of what the majority wants, right? Well, that's what they're trying to say, is that, oh, it's all Manchin's fault, but it's not. The Democrats want this kind of shit. It's just that it's really, really convenient to have someone like Manchin to dump this all on. So, for instance, this new bill requires new drilling leases on public lands and waters before any new renewable energy projects such as solar and wind can be approved. So basically it's saying, we're going to go ask oil and gas if they want any of this, any of these goodies, and only then will we think about turning it into some kind of renewable energy project, which of course ensures that that would never happen, because when was the last time you saw an oil and gas exec be like, no, we're good, we're all set, thank you, thanks for asking. And there's another story about this, in fact, with regards to the ever warming Arctic. But yeah, sorry, I don't know if you wanted to jump in.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to steal your fire. I was actually, I tricked you, because I'm reading from the same document, but I'm not reading it off of your computer, so I kind of tricked you.
Okay.
And so I apologize for doing that.
I don't know. Is that a trick?
Well, because you didn't think that I was reading from the same thing. That's why you started reading. And it's just that I started reading before you did.
Gotcha. No, but I like these 3 points they put here. The no to fossil fuel production, government is gaslighting the public, and democracy is failing to tackle the crisis. Of course, we don't have a democracy anymore. That's why democracy is failing to tackle the crisis.
We never had one.
Yeah.
Democracy is, oddly enough, something that people tout as having had for long periods of time, but I don't think that anybody actually ever had that. Like the Greeks say, hey, we were the first democracy. I'm like, if you look at the history of it and what democracy supposedly means, ruled by the people, no, you didn't. So technically no one's ever had it. So I guess it's a nice idea in theory, but so basically, in terms of particularly the gaslighting, I think is really important, because this, again, is being touted as this really important bill for climate, because Biden was the climate candidate, right? And basically they're saying, well, look, it'll open up public lands for renewable energy. Caveat, when oil and gas have said no, thank you, which basically means that it's not opening any doors for renewable energy. Plus the fact that, as a lot of people have highlighted, you can't just put up a bunch of new renewable energy like windmills and solar farms, because you have to look at the climate impact of this. You also have to look at the social impact of this. And so, for instance, if you're clear cutting a forest to put in a solar farm, well, that's fucking dumb. That's not going to help. You have to look at the way that you're the holistic perspective on these things, and not just hey, we put a fucking solar panel over here and we put a windmill over here, so hooray. You have to look at the bigger picture.
But I want to get your take on something I brought forward in an earlier live stream I did, that to get to a full green energy future, we could use a bridge fuel of grinding up Congress.
Oh my God, I love that idea so much.
And Congress could be our bridge fuel.
My question to you was, what do you use to grind them up? Is that renewable?
No, I know. It'd be like stationary bikes. Yeah, because I was at like a little hippie smoothie place once, where you pedal and you grind your own smoothies with your.
That was an ice cream place.
No, it was an ice cream place too, but this was a smoothie thing in New York. Yeah. But and you pedal and you grow and you make your own smoothie. So it's just the smoothie would be Congress, and then you put that in your gas tank. You wouldn't eat it, because that would taste gross.
No,
yeah,
they definitely don't eat.
Please, no one discuss how Joe Manchin tastes.
Whoa. Yeah, the whole like can't unhear that. The whole like eat the rich thing, I don't agree. I say compost the rich, because I really don't. That wouldn't work with my palate, I don't think. I don't. But composting that I'm totally down with, and I think that that's kind of what you're saying. But
yeah,
turning it into an end, I'm very down with that.
Have you been tricky and already sort of read this paragraph, or can I read that paragraph?
You can read that paragraph.
Okay, because I know you mentioned it, but I didn't think it was read. We cannot stop, let alone reverse, climate change and mass extinctions if policies such as the Inflation Reduction Bill. By the way, if you want to do a bill on inflation, do a fucking bill on inflation. Don't have inside the bill, oh yeah, also destroying all future lives. Okay, bye. You can't shove that down in the bottom of the bill. Anyway, Inflation Reduction Bill are passed off as viable solutions, codifying fossil fuel extraction into law. Yeah, which basically, by putting it into law and these type of things, they're stopping it from even being a debate because it's in the law. To continue reading from Extinction Rebellion, any federal policy that continues to promote and expand fossil fuel production is not based on the reality and scale of what we are collectively facing. The financial viability of the fossil fuel industry cannot take precedence over a livable planet.
But as Lee has pointed out before, the petrodollar dictates that it must and will.
I keep repeating this because it took me far too long to figure it out, and I honestly had almost heard no one else talk about this aspect. I'm not saying no one talks about the petrodollar. There are people that talk about the petrodollar, but I've almost heard no one talk about the fact that as long as the U.S. empire is built up on top of, I'll do it with sign language, on top of the petrodollar, which has petro in the fucking name, then you will never see a move beyond petro. Petro is short for petroleum. It's not a guy I know who works down the street. Petro is short for petroleum. So as long as we're on the petroleum dollar, that's what our empire is based on. That's what our ability to print endless amounts of cash is based on. The American empire will never move beyond petroleum, beyond fossil fuels. Yeah, we might make little signs here and there. Well, we signed the Paris Accord. And by the way, I'm not miming it. This is how they signed it, just up in the air. I signed it. See, thing? No, it did nothing. It fucking didn't matter. And they flipped out when Trump pulled out of it. You weren't fucking doing it anyway. What was being done?
It was all like discretionary.
It was like Trump pulling out of a game of the floor is lava. There was nothing there to begin with. It doesn't matter if he pulled out. I'm not playing it. The floor's not lava anymore. Yeah, it was never lava. We were just pretending. What did he pull out of? Anyway, that being said, you may see them do little things that make it sound like they care about climate change. They're not doing shit. And until we're off the petrodollar, nothing.
Amen. Actually, there's another story that is specifically tied to this and your point. If you want to go to that one. I don't know. Is that
which story?
The grist?
Yeah, we'll do. You can start. No, you can just start. Because on the podcast, this won't make any sense and it'll just sound weird.
I'm going to edit the podcast audio anyway.
Do you cut that shit out?
I don't.
See? So
I don't. Because you know what? I want people to have this experience.
That doesn't make sense.
This raw and rugged and real experience. I am also lazy and don't have enough time in my fucking day to do this stuff. But I want people to have that experience.
I have no problem with you not cutting that stuff out. My point was perhaps we shouldn't purposefully put it in there.
That's what she said. Okay.
Oh God. I have no problem with you cutting that thing off, but let's not purposely put it in there.
Hey, it's the weekend. Have fun, kids. Okay, so this is another Biden administration snafu. It's a ConocoPhillips, an oil company, an oil and gas company, has been working really hard to explore. Didn't we talk about this before? Explore Alaska for oil. I mean, It sounds like
Oh, yeah,
an
it's
Indiana
euphemism.
Jones type
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, it's a bunch of
dun.
guys with those hats, and they have a whip, and they're just running through Alaska, just like, oh, they got binoculars some of the time. Yeah, that's totally what it is.
Yeah. As opposed to decimate, as opposed to rape the ecosystem and landscape and future of this area.
It'd be like if someone burned down your house to see if you had anything buried under it, and he was exploring the land.
Right. I'm just exploring.
Exploring to see what was there.
So
I'm just a prospector, see?
So the first problem is that this area of Alaska's North Slope is called the National Petroleum Reserve.
That's the name of the area.
A 23 million acre stretch of government managed land, which we just recently discussed what happens with government managed land, right? Public land has to be offered up to oil and gas explorers before there's any talk of renewable energy. Or I don't know, leaving it the fuck alone, maybe? Maybe that would be an option. I'd bid on that. This so-called Willow project, which that sounds delightful, which is...
Because that was such an enjoyable movie with
I know.
Val Kilmer and the great little person actor.
I don't remember.
That's the term.
So this would allow for construction of up to 250 wells.
Billy Barty, maybe?
Are you done? Okay. 250 wells. And if anybody's ever seen an oil well, you know it's fucking massive.
Well is a euphemism as well, because it's not good.
Yes.
It's not well. It's the opposite. Sick. It's an oil sick.
That's very true. Oil sick, oil slick. Ah.
And it is called an oil derrick, and most derricks are assholes, so at least that's more accurate.
That's true. I had a drummer named Derek once. He was an asshole.
Yeah, there you go. It's an oil Chad. Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him and his oil Chads.
These are just all very white names, like very like white popped collar and khakis, you know? Anyway, so 250 wells, 2 airstrips, as well as a network of gravel roads, pipelines, and a new central processing facility in an ecologically sensitive corner of the Arctic. I'd just like to point out that every corner of the Arctic is ecologically fucking sensitive. Just like, I don't know, every ecosystem is ecologically fucking sensitive to oil exploration.
Sensitive, yeah.
So this is basically what's at stake right now. The Biden administration is moving forward with this, despite the fact that that many people have pushed to have more time to look at this information, including sorry, I don't know if I'm going to say this correctly. Teshekpuk, the Teshekpuk Lake, which is the largest body of water in Arctic Alaska, and important calving grounds for the caribou herd that's there. So the people who manage that area have pushed for more time to understand and comment and combat the findings of an EIS, which is an environmental impact statement, which all of these companies have to do an EIS. But as somebody who's been working in the climate movement for quite some time, I can tell you that the vast majority of EISs are fucking bullshit. And they say like, oh, well, you know, we're crossing 700 bodies of water, but a couple of fish might die. And that's about it. And we've talked to the experts, and those would be small fish.
They're actually the fish that
you wouldn't like those fish.
They'll nip at people's heels. They hate babies. They tend to nip at babies when they're in the water. So yeah, we're just killing the fish, the baby hating fish. No, but yeah, and it's funny because when a lot of times the courts will stop some of these things, or a few times the courts have stopped these things because they didn't do any economic assessment, which is like even these shitty economic assessments they try and avoid doing anything.
Environmental assessments, yeah.
Sorry, I said economic. Environmental.
The economic assessments are stunning.
Yeah.
I have to tell you.
At least for the 3 years until we're all on fire.
Right. And only
Then
for,
the economy goes down.
only for like 100 people.
Yeah.
Certainly not the village of 500 people that's closest to the development. They won't have an economic statement.
I know. I do love that they always say when they're coming to an area, when they want to put a pipeline and all this shit through areas, they say, we're going to bring all these jobs. And then you have people actually look at the number of long-term jobs, and it's like 5 or 10. Like once the pipelines are in, everything's running, they've already drilled the wells, the number of long-term jobs in these places is like 10.
Yes. And they're usually not for the people who live there.
Right.
In both when I was in Pennsylvania and they were constructing the Mariner East pipeline, you saw license plates from basically any state but Pennsylvania. When I was in Louisiana and they were constructing the Bio Bridge pipeline, you had Texas, you had Georgia, Alabama, you even had places like New Mexico, like not at all close to Louisiana, but I did not see one Louisiana license plate. So much for local jobs.
Right.
So the Department of the Interior has not responded to formal request to extend the public comment period on the draft environmental impact statement. The House Committee on Natural Resources even tried to get in touch with the Department of the Interior and have basically been ghosted by them. And that's a House Committee on Natural Resources. Did you have any idea how little a fuck the House gives about, like, I mean, obviously,
how
just
tiny the fuck that the House gives. It is like a cricket fucking a craisin. That is the size of the fuck the House gives.
This article, Grist, also mentions that the Inflation Reduction Act also complicates matters because, as we've just stated, it demands that these lands be opened to oil and gas before any kind of renewable energy, or, as I suggested, leaving it the fuck alone. The Center for American Progress has called this project a, quote, disaster for the climate that would lock in approximately 260 million metric tons of CO2 over its 30-year lifetime. So that's a lot. 260 million metric tons of CO2 at a time in which there's still right now, there's several places in New York I just saw recently that have cooling stations because people who are outside might not be able to make it from their front door to the fucking sidewalk without collapsing from a heat stroke.
Cooling. I love the idea of cooling stations. We're going to set your future on fire, but we're going to put up a little shed with a spritzer, okay? So you will get spritzed as you walk into hell's anus, as you fucking walk into the fiery fucking dredges of hell. But you'll get a little in the face. Only
it's
two.
Lukewarm.
It's lukewarm, and you only get 2 per person, okay? So don't try and stand there and hog an extra, okay? It is 2 per person. I don't care if you're sick and you have cancer. It is 2. That is it.
So this is the comment period is currently right now, and I'm doing this a lot because it's all bullshit. The comment period is basically you put your.
For those
comments...
listening at home, she's doing air quotes.
Sorry,
I'm doing this a lot. For all they know, you're talking about like a jack off symbol.
What? Same thing.
Don't point that thing
comment
at me.
Comment period.
Don't point that thing at me.
So it's the same thing. Because they don't read your fucking comments. They don't give a shit.
I know.
Whether you think that this is a dangerous and disastrous project. Did you think that the heads of ConocoPhillips give a flying fuck whether you like their project or not?
I know. I always love, like, it's like I am pro comment period because it's the idea of people able to have any say in these decisions. And yet at the same time, I acknowledge they do nothing. When was the last time they were like, we were going to do this crazy shit, but we got some comments from people that said, don't do it. And so we changed our mind.
Right. And really, like, the only thing that the Indigenous people of this area are asking for is that you extend the comment period to November, because as one of the people who live there pointed out, that this is an important time for harvesting, and they rely on that as subsistence farmers in that area. They have to do caribou are beginning to migrate through the region. It is the middle of a short moose hunting season. Families are gathering berries and plants, and crews are getting ready to travel to Cross Island to prepare for the whale harvest. So basically, they don't have the ability to utilize this bogus comment period as it stands, because they literally have to gather food to survive. And that's something that most of us don't have any fucking concept of.
That's not true. I go to 7-Eleven and I take a bag with me and I gather food.
You
forage. I forage at 7-Eleven for various types of berry flavored Jolly Ranchers and various tea leaf monster drinks and a couple of taquitos.
Which contains no tea.
Yeah, a couple of taquitos that are filled with a mystery meat that contains no meat, and that's how I survive. So, yeah. And you got to go in when the harvesting is good.
Yes, I agree. What do you feel those hours are? Kind of like 2 a.m.
Oh yeah, no. Peak harvest is actually it's early morning because the supply trucks have come in. So peak harvest, you can get a solid 7-8 taquitos at like 7 a.m. But you get into like the 10-12 range, and the only taquitos left are the ones that saw the Reagan presidency. So.
Oh, well, okay. So yes. So they, as this woman said, quote, either we go out during this time to try to attempt our harvest, or we make a choice to miss out on the harvest and respond to this document. You can't be online when you're out harvesting, end quote. So yeah, either survive or send a comment to ConocoPhillips. So the only thing that this fucking Indigenous community is asking for is that you extend the comment period. And the Department of the Interior, which, by the way, is run by an Indigenous woman, has completely ghosted them. And so as of right now, the comment period will end August 29th, and the decision will be granted soon after. Whereas if they're granted an extension, the comment period would end in November, and the decision would be pushed to next year, giving more time to, bolster some kind of resistance.
Right. I think it probably has more to do with the resistance than the comment.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But I wanted to put this out there for several reasons, but also because I think it would be really a shame if people latched on to this story and maybe started organizing around it and, threw a wrench into ConocoPhillips plans. I think that would be a shame. So I just wanted to highlight that because I feel bad for ConocoPhillips, just in case people were to start organizing and try to stop this project. I think that would be terrible.
Just in case some people covered in blood were to chain themselves to the offices of the folks doing this shit, that would be a terrible thing. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I hope nobody fucks with equipment that would potentially go up there and drill in this incredibly fragile ecosystem. I think that would be awful if people tampered with equipment like that.
That's critical.
Don't ever do
That's
that.
critical infrastructure you're talking.
Yeah,
about.
Don't ever do that. That's awful.
So we're about to talk about how and I know we're coming back to it. I'm leaving the subject and we're coming back to the subject, but that it's just gonna how it's gonna work today. But in a minute, we're going to talk about how a Ukrainian top official has now revealed the U.S. involvement in the proxy war in a way that had not been revealed before. So this is a new level of, this is a fucking proxy war in Ukraine between the United States and Russia. The United States largely keeps denying that, even though it is fucking obvious. And so this is a new level of admission that I'm about to get into. We're going to do that at rumble.com/Lee Camp. So for those of you watching at rumble.com, it stays exactly the same. By the way, it's free to watch over there. There is no charge. Rumble.com/LEECAMP. And just go over there, click the top video, which is titled Inflation Reduction Bill is a giveaway to fossil fuels. Click on that and you can keep watching for free. The other streams will cut off in just a second. They will stop like you sneezed while you were peeing. By the way, I said that once and I had someone in the comment section say it stops when you sneeze.